Your boy got a fresh fucking cut. See, all right. Don't say nothing about it, gang. Um, I like it. I fuck with it. Got a fresh cut. In today's, I guess, deeper talk. This is less philosophical and more. I mean, it's kind of philosophical to a degree, but it's more of something that's kind of more personal. Not and not personal in terms of getting into my personal life, some aspects. But today we're going to talk about why I think mental health is not taken as seriously. I'm a big advocate for mental health and really focusing on people's mental health. We're going to break this down into three categories. Why mental health isn't why mental health isn't as important or isn't seemed as important or talked about enough. One, lack of education, lack of understanding, and lack of resources. All right. Now by lack of resources, I don't mean like therapy or anything like that. I more so mean like more awareness, foundations, everything like that. So lack of education. I Now I'm doing this all without statistics and facts. So before anybody like tries to like sit here and like disprove my point, just know I'm doing this without facts and everything like that. I know I should have probably researched some things before I just made this video, but I'm going to explain the reason why I did a lack of statistical research, okay, or a lack of research. I mean, not well, I guess statistical. But lack of education or knowledge on it, or yeah, knowledge, education, whatever you want to call it. I think mental health is relatively kind of new. Back then in like the 50s, 60s, all that type shit, mental health wasn't taken that seriously. And even further back, if you were mentally deranged, you were automatically counted off as crazy, beheaded, whatever the case may be. Mental health has never really throughout time has been taken seriously until I would say maybe my generation, until like and there will be some things, so trigger warning, some sensitive topics, like until like things like suicide have occurred, and especially like a high amount of suicide due to mental stress and everything like that. uh Honestly, I think the best way to probably teach about mental health is honestly, well, we'll get in at the number three, into the last part, the lack of resources. But I think the lack of education of mental health has been the reason why there has been, smooth transition, a lack of understanding. Now, you know no one, no one is probably, uh what's the best word, no one is probably like new, or I don't know the best word to say, but everyone has experienced maybe like the older generation not taking mental health as seriously, right? When mental health is talked about, there are people who are truly ignorant, who just believe that mental health isn't a thing, or it is a thing, but it's something that's caused by yourself, or it is a thing and you just aren't doing enough. You're not doing whatever you can to get out of that depressive anxiety state. And that, I feel like that's where I said a lack of education comes from. Because like, yes, while there's a lack of education on it and lack of knowledge, there also there's a lack of understanding, and more so about lack of understanding. To elaborate more, is the lack, just ignorance. Really, it's not a lack of understanding like you don't understand a lot and then you're trying to understand. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about people who are willingly and who are willingly ignorant to the fact that mental health is a true thing. I think a lot of times, especially because due to the fact like the older generation, right, grandparents, even our parents, right, no one really believes in mental health. But I think has also many things like religious psychosis that has made people kind of believe that like mental health can be prayed away or anything like that. And it's like, no, mental health is a very active thing, right? Like, and I'm not saying that beliefs in religion do not help within mental health. I do believe if you have a strong faith in something and you're taking action within that faith, regardless if other people believe in this God or not, as long as you believe in it, right? But it helps you. I do believe that it is helpful, but I think, in my personal opinion, that it's more so your work than your belief or faith within something that made it better. But again, I'm not saying don't discredit your God or anything like that if you believe that, your God is the reason why you are mentally better or you can take on days better. But for the people who are willingly ignorant and who say mental health is just a thing that you got to get through, I would like to say it's because, and a lot of people, it may be hard for some people to believe this. A lot of people aren't really depressed. Like there is a high, like there is a depression percentage, obviously, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty high. There is depression percentage. I'm not saying that a lot of people aren't depressed, but then there are a majority of people, or a good bit of people, who also are not depressed. And for that reason, it's like, for people like that, I feel like because they don't want to understand and it's hard for them to understand, they think that it's not a thing. And it's like, no. Or they think like, well, we all feel depression, right? We all feel sad at times. And it's like, depression isn't just sadness for the moment. Like, yeah, we all do feel sad at times. I get sad, you get sad, your mom gets sad, everybody gets sad. It's not saying that sadness doesn't happen to the natural person without, any mental health issues. It does happen. But depression is more than just sadness for a day. It's a deep state of, it's a deep state. You can even say nihilism goes into depression, right? Let's get on, like, this is a philosophical, like, channel, so we can even talk about how nihilism goes into depression. You feel me? Depression isn't just, oh, I'm sad today because my fucking car doesn't start. Like, I can't get to work. Like it's not that, right? And I feel like, because people try to chalk it up as that, it makes it dangerous, right? And I feel like that's why we attach ourselves, as people recently in younger generation. I'm 22. We attach ourselves to these more harmful and toxic ways of thinking, because it's like we always think it's something wrong with us, but in order to, and don't get me wrong, I'm an extremist, but it's something wrong with us, but in order to fix it, we gotta go like extremely in the deep end, because like, nah, it's something wrong with us. This is because I'm weak, I'm sorry, I'm soft, and it's like, bro, it could literally not be any of that. Like, you can't just wipe away your whole life and what has happened to you because you are taking on all the blame. That even goes into putting you into depression with certain things like this, with certain mindsets. I feel like if we understood mental health more, and like, don't get me wrong, there may be things that are genuinely just hard to understand. Like, for example, my partner, she has anxiety, right? My girlfriend has anxiety, and it's very, I try my hardest to understand it, even though sometimes it is very hard for me to understand it, because I don't have like anxiety more so than like social anxiety, and they're both tethered on the line. And I'm not going to necessarily say social anxiety. I don't think I have social anxiety, and I've never been diagnosed. I more so just, when I'm just really to myself, right? I'm an introvert. I'm a hermit crab, but also like, there are times where like I can get nervous talking to new people, or people that I don't really know like that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I have social anxiety through and through. I don't think I do, for the most part, because for the most part I can. It's just that, like, when it's a crowd of people, so maybe a tad bit of social anxiety, right? But I think, like, there are some things that genuinely would just be hard for us to understand, and not necessarily just because we haven't went through it. Like, that plays a part into it, but also because there's the way that, when, especially if you're listening to other people, the way that it comes off as, and like I said, lack of education. And I'm not here, and I'm gonna be real, I'm here to say I have fallen into the lack of education at one point in time in my life. And this is why I say I didn't do research, because I want to be authentic with y'all. At one point in time in my life, before I ever went to therapy for the first time, at one point in time in my life, I thought therapy was dumb. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I thought therapy was stupid. I'm like, bro, why would anybody go to therapy? You're paying someone to listen to you. You're paying someone to talk your problems out. Like, I can talk about my problems to everybody. That was cap. I talk about my problems to everybody, especially not my family. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Um, but it's like, you I believe kind of the same, like the same rhetoric or the same belief, that, therapy, why would you go to therapy? Or like if you take depressive pills or anxiety meds, like they just make you a walking zombie. You're just gonna be emotionless and things like that. And now there are pills that can cause that side effect, but it's not because of the pill itself. It's usually because of the dosage, because of how many milligrams you're taking. Um, so it's one of those things where it's like this is coming from a person on both sides of the spectrum, right? And I think you can be mentally, I think you can have mental health issues and still believe that. I had mental health issues believing that therapy was stupid, that therapy was dumb. So, because of that reason, that's why I didn't do research. Because it's like coming from a person that was on both sides of the fence at one point in time of my life. And now I'm on like mental health is very, very important. I understand because a lot of these people who are willingly ignorant just don't want to comprehend something that's deeper. They don't want to understand that you have to be more compassionate with human beings, right? They don't want to understand that, right? Because even things as like the get rich quick scheme or like, bro, focus on yourself, fuck these hoes, like these things, like while certain things like focusing on yourself does matter, but the way of like making it seem like, oh, but you can, but focus on yourself, but kind of forget love, because when you're saying like fuck these hoes, bro, it's like, yeah, you literally mean that, like, yeah, no, I don't mess with no girl who just trying to suck your energy, but at the same time it's like it comes off as more so like they're saying like, oh yeah, but like fuck love, like don't worry about love. And it's like I feel like that's very inhuman to tell somebody, because like you kind of worry about love through and through all the time. um um Now there is a philosophical take that it's like, relationships can stop you. Not philosophical take, more so just a take that like relationships can, slow you down, and to some degree that is true. I'm not saying that it's not, but that's a talk for later time. I have a big video idea about like love and everything like that. Um but Now, number 3, I said lack of education, lack of understanding, and lack of like more so like trying to oh yeah, and lack of resources. Now what I mean by lack of resources is not therapy. Okay, we have things, there's stuff like BetterHelp. There's things that, and no, I'm not sponsored, but there's things like BetterHelp. There's online therapy sessions. There's video call, virtual therapy sessions, in-person therapy sessions. There's a lot of therapy out there. But by lack of resources, I mean just a lack of people who advocate for it. Lack of people who, lack of even like donation centers trying to figure out more things that go into mental health complications. Um, because on my research of like trying to find things to donate to towards mental health, there's only like two or like three like charity uh donations that I could donate to, like two or three. And not saying that that's bad, like that is a right step in the right direction, or a step in the right direction, but I think that because it wasn't that many, um that it kind of put it into perspective for me that like mental health still isn't taken as seriously. Now, I think what I don't want people to think that what I'm saying is because people are go through things and have like things like depression that you should give these people like a crutch, right? Like for example, I have I feel like I do have some form of depression. Hold on, y'all. All right, I'm back. I feel like I do have some form of depression. Okay, but it's not that people with mental health are asking for a crutch. I think the biggest misunderstanding that people get, and even ignorant people try to throw as propaganda, is that people with mental health want a crutch. We want an easy way in life, and it's like that's not true at all. It's more so we just want people to understand, right? Everybody wants understanding. When you're in a relationship, right, you want understanding. When you have friends and and you are opening up to your friends, you're hoping that they understand, right? You even want to understand yourself. It's all about understanding. um to say that, oh, like these people out here with depression, they're just snowflakes, they want it easy. It's like you're degrading them, right? You're degrading people who go through things, and everybody goes through things. So if you say this person with depression just wants a handicap and whatever, well, the person that's taking a day off of work today because they're tired or because they got a doctor's appointment, right? You got to apply this kind of like knowledge of we can't, like, you're doing this for your sake to everybody, or you want us to do this for your sake to everybody, right? And it's like, well, it's not the same because, like, you get off days. You can go to a doctor's appointment on an off day. You can schedule a doctor's appointment on an off day. But why should you have off days in general? We all know that America, that capitalism, they want us to be robots, right? So why do it when you think in the grand scheme of things? It's like you're saying we can't. You want us to cater to these people who are still part of the people, but why should we cater to y'all because y'all have something that we can't see? Like that, you see how that sounds like kind of crazy, foolish? Like, so I think that because there is a lack of resources, it's harder for people to obtain not necessarily knowledge on mental health, but to some degree, like, yes, knowledge. It is harder for people to obtain the knowledge and really understand it because I feel like the right step into understanding one another more efficiently as people is understanding mental health problems. One, because of it just skyrocketing. There being more mental health complications and more mental health issues within today's society. People being more open about it. The business practice doesn't really take into account people with mental health issues, and it's like it's so. I think the world could benefit off of just learning about mental health when it comes down to compassion and understanding for one another. Um, because I think one of the biggest misconceptions so far that I've heard about mental health is mainly like the crutch. Um, I'm gonna save this for another video because I'm actually gonna write this down and give you guys statistics. But I was reading up on something about mental health in the workforce, and hold on. All right, that y'all. Um, but I feel like just understanding one another would help just the world revolve. Oh yeah. Before my bad, y'all. My bad, had to go do some shit. Um I did a I was researching a little bit on like mental health in the workforce. And I don't quote me exactly on this, but I think it said like something around like 58% of workers felt as if like mental health wasn't, like, they couldn't 58% of, I think this was just an American study, but 58% of Americans felt like they couldn't talk about mental health in the workplace or bring it up in their job. Or no, 58% of Americans are affected. My fault. 58% of Americans are affected by mental health in a workplace. Um, and it was like it was a recent, like 2025, right? We don't know about 2026 yet, but to sit there and 58% of Americans be affected by mental health, like I said, I don't know if that's the exact percentage number, um but it is a high percentage number, um feel that way or are that way, just shows more and more that we do need to understand this issue a lot more. um Recently I've kind of just really been, and here's like just the personal half. So really the video is kind of over with. But recently I've been thinking about, right, like how I could bring awareness to these more like serious causes. And that's a big reason why I got kind of into philosophy. There's a whole video that I'm probably going to make into why I got into it, so you guys can exactly know why this channel was created, why this channel was made. But I feel like because things aren't pushed in a way that's effective, efficient for people. I'm not saying that I solely alone can do that. No, I feel like it takes a group team of people to do this. But I've been like just recently thinking like what I kind of want to leave, like what type of mark I want to, like, I guess, leave on this world. And despite how many people hear me or not, despite how many views I get, subscribers I have, whatever, I just want people to know that, I was fighting for the right thing, right? And that that people are not unheard, that people will not go unheard. Now, obviously, I can't speak for everybody because everyone has different experiences in life. My experience versus your experience is going to be completely different than anybody else's. I may not can 100% relate to starving kids after war, and I am very deeply like upset for the kids that are losing their lives right now in Iran because of some old ass man who gotta change his diaper. Like, bruh. No offense to the other old people that are good old people that have to do that. But I feel like there's just a lot of things that we as people shy away from because we think that like our voice doesn't really matter, especially over here down here in America. There's a lot of people just getting attacked for standing up for what's right. People are getting attacked standing up against ICE because ICE isn't doing a good thing to, you know, to people. I fuck calling them foreigners. Like they're not treating people like people. They're not treating human beings like human beings. Right? They're throwing them down on the ground and have these ICE agents that are fucking taking Hispanics. Half of these people are not even illegals. Like this world wasn't illegally stolen. And like, come on up, bro. Like we don't have to have a whole history lesson on the channel, but um, I feel like I really just want to advocate for people to, you know, stand up for yourself. Your voice does matter, and I also just want to talk for the unheard, right? And like, yes, while this channel is still gonna always be philosophical, but again, like I said, part of my bio says that part of this is also relating this to real life facts or real life factors, things that happen. And today I've been thinking about it for a while. But I'm like, I do genuinely want to make a video about mental health and how important mental health is. I posted a video on my TikTok and my Instagram about mental health and uh how important mental health actually is. So uh and checking up on your people that have mental health issues, and also keep your mental health in check is very very important to do that. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know what y'all think is the reason behind why mental health isn't taken that serious. Agree with the three facts, or do y'all wish I elaborated more? So yeah, just let me know, y'all. I love y'all, man. Peace.